Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I want to talk to my chosen ones about how the enemy loves to say that I'm a good person. I'm a good being. I don't know what brought everyone to this subject of putting the title on themselves as being a good being. When you process the actual concept of being a good being versus being a bad being, when they saying good, it's almost as if they have no faults, or they cannot do anything wrong, or they're moving around throughout life without any mistakes or mishaps. Every good person that I have met never once out loud had to convince me or others around them that they're a good person. You know, anybody that I ever was around that moved in a more righteous light, they didn't have to really say, oh, I'm righteous or I'm good. You know, these are things that just kind of flow. You can kind of see these titles attached to their fruits. A lot of beings on the other side of the spectrum like to use this I'm a good person as a form of a robotic response to their way of life, as far as how they get up and go through their day-to-day process, and what actions and conversations they're having while they're in their workspace. See, a lot of people feel as though like, oh, you're a good person if, you know, you bend backwards for the people around you. But we in a day and age where we know we at a spiritual war. We know it's demons and oppositions everywhere. So to be in a space to where you bending backwards for demons, it's not going to add up the way you believe it's going to add up. So you're helping the enemy. So in my world, like, if I got beef with somebody, or if I don't like somebody, if my peoples don't like somebody, I'm not gonna go give them information on how to get at us. I'm not gonna go give them weapons on how to get at us and then say, well, I'm protected. I was supposed to share that with you. Yes, to a degree, I am protected, but on a physical level, I'm supposed to be aware enough to make sure that I do keep my actual physical vessel protected. You know, the spiritual protection is gonna be there. But I see it more and more with these demons and these zombie robots. You know, they like, because they work a regular job and they aren't technically, some of them aren't running around hurting people. They feel as though they're a good person. But you gotta process it like this. Like, if you're a good person, why are you allowing those demons to operate how they do next door to you, or in your workspace, or in your school? You know, like, we have a choice. We have free will. So whether you like the consequences or not doesn't take away from the fact that you do have a choice still, and you choose to allow everybody to operate around your energy the way however they want to. Now, when I say that, I don't mean like you're supposed to dictate and control everything that's in your space, because we know it's a lot of things that happen in this realm we do not have control over. We are responsible for our actions and reactions. But when you are in your space, or like a setting that's, maybe it's not your space, your parents' space, or somewhere that's a mutual ground. You know what I mean? Like, a good person to me understands that there's different levels to this realm, the frequency and energies that we possess and that we put out. So a good person can hug and hold and love this baby right here. At the same time, if somebody broke in, sit the baby down, be able to take on that harder energy, so that way they can take care of that situation that's at hand, and then they can get back to being as loving, kind, and caring as they possibly can over on this side of the spectrum. But a lot of people don't want to put the two and two together. Like, we can see it out here in nature all the time. You don't have lions out here that's just so hungry that they're eating and destroying their cubs. No, they usually hunt. And they gonna figure out, they gonna lay, they gonna lurk, they gonna figure it out, you know. But they don't look at, okay, how can I take out this lioness that's beside me? How can I damage or take out these cubs that's right beside me? So understanding these things, like, people put a good person with a submissive person. So like, if you have a backbone, you know, if you are one of those males that speak up and that stand solid for people that's around you in your space vicinity, you know what I mean? Like, they don't use the term good person in the right context. So that's why I never really use, oh, okay, they good, they bad. No, I just use this playbook and that playbook. Because when you use the demonic playbook, 90% of the shit you do is gonna be witchy, demonic, disgusting, bad. It's gonna come with all kind of like pity, guilt, all that weird energy that, you know, holds us to a lower space. But you do have that 10%, which is gonna be something helpful that they do, something with a little bit more, I don't even want to use light, but, you know, just something that's more helpful and useful to the others around them, you know. And then with us on the other side of the spectrum, we 90% of moving more righteous. We got that 10% of that darkness, you know, and that's because of we're spiritual beings having a human experience. You know, you're not going to get to be in this spiritual realm, in this physical realm. We in multiple realms. We are in a lot of realms. Like, once you are able to understand that and simplify it, it makes life a lot easier, because we already doing enough things on the hardest levels possible. So just be mindful when people are like, oh yeah, I know Tommy, he's a good person. When people say that, I always ask them, so what do they do? You know, because to me, it's a lot of people out here that's fighting this good fight, and a lot of people around them don't look at them as good people. But in my world, I would look at that being as a good being, a righteous being, you know. You always gonna have numbers going against you the way this is set up out here. So if you moving with the masses, your ass is gonna end up in molasses. Real talk. But just like the way this war is set up, I would just remove those titles. Oh, that person's good, that person's bad. Like we all say, you can have a little bit of good, a little bit of bad in you. You can do a little bit of good, you can do a little bit of bad. Like, it's plenty of ways to reword that and flip it. But the overall concept, what we want to know and do is like, people that's moving with God, the Creator, Allah, whatever you call it, those are what I consider good people, good spiritual beings. Now, you don't have to be no warrior moving in that God light, but you kind of are being a warrior because you've learned how to stand solid, you know. So it's kind of like what I always use these examples, like you got, you know, spiritual doctors who know how to heal, you know, and they not the strongest fighters. But then you got warriors like me who are willing to protect those doctors, you know, those natural herbalists, whatever name you want to put on it, you know. So when you moving in that God light, when you moving more righteously, you got a lot more beings like me that's going to jump out the window for you. You ride with my team. I don't care what the physical realm is doing. We all got a destination when we leave here. So in my world, it's like, I'd rather be known for standing for something. I know that we don't get all the accolades while we're here unless you're a demon. If you're a demon, you're going to get all the accolades right now while you're alive. That is just how it works. But you don't get that God-like energy until you move on to your next chapter, your next journey. So that's another tricky part that gets a little harder for us here, because it's not supposed to be that way, but the way the system has been restructured, we get our rewards and our fulfillment eternally. They're just enjoying theirs temporary. So I try to remove those. Ask questions. When people are saying they're a good person, why are they saying that they're a good person? That's for the community to decide. You know what I mean? Like, I can speak on this knowledge and information I put out, but I don't run around saying, yeah, I'm a good person. Yeah, I'm a good person. I don't hurt anyone. No, I will hurt people. I will fuck you up if you're not on my team and you in the way. That's on everything I love. They can throw me in this water right now. I don't play about me or mine. So like, they have to do what they have to do out here, just like we doing what we gotta do out here to stay solid and 10 toes down, you know. Ask questions. I would always ask questions, even if you don't really care. But what happens is you contort people's spiritual realm because they usually aren't expecting those kind of questions or responses come in when they make certain statements. So I had somebody the other day was like, yeah, I want to be, you know, somebody tried to piss me off. I just want to be a good person. And I'm just thinking to myself, what the fuck does that mean? Somebody made you mad, frustrated you. You didn't want to indulge into it. You just want to be a good person. You being a pushover, that's not being a good person. I don't see how that, not saying that person or situation per se, they was being a pushover. That situation per se, the person who was being witchy to them had more authority than them. So they responded as best way they could possibly see without escalating it because the other person had more authority. So that's just how it works. It's kind of like when I see certain weird situations with, you know, weaker vessels, weaker spirits doing things to beings that's a lot stronger, bigger, tougher than they are, it reminds me of like a regular, imagine somebody just walking across the interstate or a main road and just assuming that all the cars is gonna stop for them. Like, that's dumb as hell. That's crazy as hell. In my world, it's like, I know these cars is bigger, stronger, faster than me, so why the fuck would I go get in their way? And I'm so damn entitled that I'm just gonna allow my own ignorance to kind of put me in a worse situation. Because in my world, it's like, oh no, I'm a human, I should be able to walk across this right away. No, nigga, these cars is bigger. That's just the facts. It's not we in some kind of delusional weird reality space. You can be in there, but over here we're gonna pull your ass out. We're gonna create some more clarity. We're gonna give you some starting points, some stomping grounds. We're gonna get your roots embedded in this ground, so that way when you growing and the storms are hitting, you're gonna stand solid like these trees. You ever seen a storm come through and the trees are barely moving? When these trees move, they have to be hit with a lot of force. That's some of us out here. We got to be hit with a lot of force to start moving. You know what I mean? So just understanding these things and just kind of, if something don't make sense, ask the question. If the question is a little tricky, try to get them to reword it, or you reword it. Try to come up with some different phrases or analogies so that way you can paint the better picture. You know, it's easier for me if somebody was saying, hey, yeah, I went out to this lake, it had this beautiful dock to it, and the water was flowing and the trees was in the background. Like, I can envision it up here, right? But I'm creating my own vision. But if somebody drew it for me, it would be more detailed and more accurate because we have the ability to do that. So that would make it a lot easier for me to actually envision and to picture the same scenery that they're setting a pose for me, thinking of my own lake and my own dock and my own trees in the background. Maybe they didn't have the picture painted this way, the way they saw it, and they was telling it was painted differently. The dock could have been over there. The water could have only been on half the side. You know what I mean? But just being mindful of a lot of these things that's happening out here. You know, words are spells and spells are real, and we'll have a lot of people out here casting these spells. I am telling you, they are casting, they are working their ass off to do whatever they can. So just be mindful when people want to manipulate you with the words and with the intentions. and when people don't answer your questions. If you ask a question, don't move on to their statement or their question without them answering yours. Re-ask your question. They don't want to answer it, re-ask it again. They don't want to answer it, don't respond or stop engaging. But you don't allow the conversation to keep flowing. That's like if I was building this dock right here. For each plaque that's down, let's say I decided to skip every other one. Now I'm gonna say it's finished, but we got a hole in every other space in the dock because that's the way I wanted it. And now people are subject to hurt themselves when they come out here on the dock. Hey man, we just want to be more righteous. Fuck all that being good shit. Like, they putting good with submissive, lay down, sit down, cornball, like curl up, fetal position. Like, that's not us, you know. That's not us. That's not what we doing. That's not what we going to do. Damn, something got my eye. But I ain't want to run it up too long, you know what I mean? Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.